Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
And welcome to the Comic Queens podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Annie. And today we're super excited to talk with you, just post our April Fool's Day, about some of the comedies that have been top of mind for Alex and I recently. I will say, we've talked about quite a few different webcomics that have had us laugh out loud. And we've already talked about a lot of the ones that, like, first thing out of my head, like, those are the ones I would recommend. Mm-hmm. But it's just because they're so good. So today we want to talk to you about some fresh comedies that we've been reading. Just some different things that we feel like have really lifted our spirits, kept us in a joking kind of vibe. But we will list a lot of our honorable mentions or just the comedies we've mentioned already to you all in the description. So you can take a look at all of those with us. But we're going to start out with some of the short comedy series that Alex had been reading, and we'll get right into it.
Okay, so this format is one of my favorites to read comedies. So I have a bunch of recommendations for this. But basically what it is instead of being one long continuous story, it's really kind of like short form episodes that may or may not relate to things. So there is mild story building, but you can kind of come in and out of it, you don't have to pay as close of attention. It's really just light, fluffy fun, pretty much.
I love that.
So I love this genre. The first one that I ever read in this kind of subgenre of comedy is Adventures of God. Adventures of God has 786 episodes. So hurry now.
Not daunting at all.
And they're really, they're not long, but they're also not short. I'd say it's a medium-sized episode.
Okay.
And it's hilarious. It releases on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So that's why they have a ton of episodes. They release multiple times a week. It's been going on for a few years. When I first got into webcomics, I started reading Adventures of God about the same time I started reading Lore Olympus. And then I kind of quit reading it for a while, but then have started rereading it again because there's just so many different episodes.
Well, with 700 episodes.
Yeah. It's really funny though. So it just basically is a slice of life. It follows God and Jesus and Lucifer and the many adventures that they get up to. God is a raging alcoholic. And it leads him to make some very questionable decisions. And one of the first episodes is basically an explanation of how dinosaurs came to be. And the reason that dinosaurs came to be is because God was make giant lizards when he was drunk. And the reason that he stopped, that the dinosaurs went extinct is because he wanted gerbils, and his scientists who were helping him create things were gerbils will not survive in this environment because of dinosaurs. And he goes, nuke the dinosaurs.
I mean, it's a solution.
It's so funny, and it's just one that you can kind of, go in and out of. Like I said, you don't really have to pay attention to every single episode.
Yeah.
But I love this one. It's a great place to get started, and there's tons of content, so you can definitely read this one for a long time.
I love it. I'll have to jump into it.
So some other ones that I love, I've already talked about Vampire Husband and Crow Time. We talked about those back in our kind of fall reads that we talked about, but Vampire Husband is at 144 episodes now, so not quite as many as Adventures of God, but still up there. I would say those are medium-sized episodes as well. It's a Tuesday, Friday release, and it's about Charles, who's a vampire, and his human wife, Cheryl, and they've been married for 50 years. Cheryl did not want to become a vampire, and Charles respected her wishes and just left her as a human, and so now they look like an odd couple because she looks much older than him. And again, this one is just great, silly fun. You get to see all of Cheryl and her old lady friends. There's werewolf neighbors, and there's vampire hunters. It's just a great time.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that.
So true.
Crow Time is 129 episodes, and this one's a Monday release. Again, this is one that we talked about during our fall reads, and it's basically just a short series comic about a murder of crows and what they get up to. You can't go wrong. Again, silly fun.
So true.
So a couple of other ones that I found. One is called Mono and Mochi. That is a Monday, Thursday release. It's only 25 episodes, so much easier to catch up on.
A smidge. Yeah.
A little bit. But this one is about Mono, who is a guy in his 20s, and his cat Mochi. And basically, Mochi just causes a lot of chaos. So I feel like if you have a cat, you would which you do.
Yes.
you would probably relate to these just because it's like about how cats are kind of crazy and do crazy things.
It's true.
So it's a cute, funny one as well. The next one is called Stalker Stalker. And this one, to be fair, I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be this format, but from the 11 episodes I've seen so far, it seems like it could be this format. It's like pretty short, and it releases on Tuesdays and Fridays. And this one is basically about two yanderes who fall in love with each other. So there's Junko and Yunkyo. And at the beginning, you see, Junko, you see her and she's like thinking, oh my gosh, I love him so much. And so she goes and breaks into his apartment. And when she breaks into his apartment, she finds his bedroom is covered with pictures of her. And so they're just going back, like, and then you see that he's, like, taking pictures of her, and she catches him, and he's like, oh my gosh, she's gonna think I'm so crazy now. But then, of course, like, they just, like,
but they're both crazy.
Yeah, they're basically just, like, crazy together, and it's super cute. I think I'm gonna love this one.
I think it'll be really funny, honestly.
Yeah, and this one is, like, I think this would be a great one to get started with and read week to week if you're looking for something to read week to week, because it's only 11 episodes. You can read that pretty quickly, and they're not very long, too. So another good one. Now, the last one of this kind of sub-genre that I want to talk about is the one that I've read the most recently, and it's called The Little Trash Maid. This was on my New Year reading list that I wanted to read this one. I just thought she looked so cute in her little outfit. And so basically this is about, it's like The Little Mermaid, but it's The Little Trash Maid. And her name is Tidy.
Aww.
And so it's basically just about her adventures, what she gets up to in the ocean. It's like, you see that she's using this trash that people are dumping in the ocean. Like, she makes all of her shirts out of used plastic bags. And then she finds a shirt and she uses it as a grocery bag.
I love that.
She meets two boys, Ricky and Spencer, and they kind of help her out. So, like, she gets tangled up, and Ricky, like, comes and cuts all of the wires off of her arms. Aww. And they just, like, grow a cute little friendship. And it's just, like, a super cute little read. I love this one. I don't know if I said this one is 142 episodes, and it releases bi-weekly on Fridays.
So fun.
So all of these, any and all of them, if you want to test out this form, I would say maybe go with one of the longer ones so that you can kind of see, they are shorter episodes, and then you can just see like how the story kind of builds over time and see if it's a format that you're interested in. And then any of these would be great recommendations for this format.
I love it. I do really like the short form ones. I read one recently that was called The Pigeons of New York.
Oh my gosh, that sounds great.
Just one episode. But so far I'm already hooked because the pigeons are flying around and they're like, oh my gosh, this is like the third guy in latex flying around this week. And I was confused for a second, and then you see it's Spider-Man like in the background and they're like, what the hell are these people doing?
That sounds great. It sounds like the New York version of Crow Time.
I know. So exciting. So I love the shorts, like, because I feel like you don't need to have like a full episode of something to get that dose of funny.
Yeah.
And I love comedies.
I love it. And it's good too, like, you know, if you've got just a couple minutes here and there, you're trying to avoid just like scrolling through social media or something, scroll through some webcomics.
It's a lot healthier for the brain, I think. Maybe.
Is it? I don't know.
I'm not a scientist. So I have also been reading quite a few different comedy series, and it was kind of hard to dwindle down which ones I wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. But the first one that comes to mind for me is called The Virgin Witch. I started this one, and it is daunting because I tell you what, it's on Webcomics, and it already had 148 episodes released.
Yes.
So it's a lot to catch up on. This is like a long form series. So it like all connects. There's an actual story to follow, etc. But I read the first episode and could not put it down. For anybody who has read the manga Cherry Magic, it's like the hetero version of that.
Yeah. Which that is a great story too.
Such a good story. But also, so essentially this story, it follows Mie, who is essentially a virgin. She's not very experienced. She's like, I'm terrified of STDs. I don't want to get an unexpected pregnancy. Like, I have really high standards for all of the men in my life. And so I'm just essentially way too picky to actually go through with sleeping with anyone. Mm-hmm. And so she blows out her candles by herself in her room at 30 years old. And she just goes, I wish there was a really hot and safe man that I could have sex with right now. And all of a sudden, this beautiful elf-like man pops up into her room, and he's just like, hello, how would you like to have sex? So she obviously thinks she's going crazy from drinking way too much wine. She's like, there's no way this is real. And it turns out that he's someone called a summoner. And essentially, there is this like magical company that harnesses sexual energy. Mm-hmm. Like not just like solar energy, whatever else. They harness sexual energy. They were like, virgins are the best creators of this energy because they don't have an outlet to let it out. So we can use you to collect all of this sexual energy, and like essentially you become my contractor. I'm like your summoner. So I help you like create these scenarios. Mm-hmm. And then you get to retain your virginity, but you get to have as much sex as you want with anybody, like in their dreams and yours.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Stay with me. So she's like, okay, whoever this hot elf man is, I want to have sex with him. Obviously, that is now against the rules because she still has to stay a virgin in order to do this. So she basically tells Wigren, who is this summoner, I will sign your contract and I will let you harness whatever sexual energy you need from me, but you have to do sexual favors with me in order for me to want to do this.
In the dreams?
No, in real life. Because it turns out she found a loophole. You can do everything except for P and the V.
Oh, okay.
So he pretty willingly signs up as well. And you find out he is also a virgin. And basically, it is just about their adventures and how their relationship grows, how her relationship with everything changes, mm-hmm. like how she starts to look at everything differently. She like gets to choose whoever's dreams she goes into or whoever comes into her dreams that she can have sex with. And her reasonings are so funny. It is such a goofy story. It has me laughing constantly. I will flag, it is definitely 18 plus. So for anybody who is not wanting to read something like that, it is pretty graphic. But it is so, so funny. I laugh every single episode. And there is a character that speaks very true to my soul. Because do you remember Talk to Me Tenderly?
Yes.
Okay, there is a character in there named Mr. Wu. And you feel the secondhand embarrassment for him every single episode you see him.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we all know how we felt about Talk to Me Tenderly. So much secondhand embarrassment.
I know. If you have not heard this, it is in our completed series at the end of last year episode. But I tell you what, the secondhand embarrassment, like I love Mr. Wu in this series. And it is so funny and tragic at the same time.
So you're laughing but cringing together.
Laughing at him.
Well, I can see how that would be a really, really funny concept. Already, that's great. And you gotta love that she found her perfect loophole.
I know. She found her purpose in life. She's like, I can have all the safe sex that I want. It's wonderful.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Well, venturing away from that...
It's a little specific.
It's very specific. So I have been reading one called Paper Teeth.
Also sounds interesting.
It's very interesting. At its very core, it is a story about Avery, and she is a vampire hunter who gets bitten by a vampire and now has to like try and live in the world and still interact with her vampire hunter coworkers without them realizing that she's been turned into a vampire.
That sounds so funny.
It is so funny. It's 36 episodes. It releases every Tuesday and Friday on Webtoon. And it's pretty, like, it's shorter episodes, too. But the difference between this and the ones I was talking about before is that there is, like, a flow through to the story so far. Mm-hmm. So basically it starts off with Avery, and Avery gets bitten by a vampire, disappears for an entire week, basically sleeps for an entire week, wakes up covered in blood, and goes back to the vampire hunting headquarters, and then is like freaking out and is like, oh my gosh, there's a wound in my neck, I think I'm a vampire, like just starts freaking out, and then eventually makes her way home. While she's there, someone comes in. Then also she can't get into her home at first because vampires have to be let in. So she has to call someone and say, hey, can I go into my house? They say, and I don't even know who she calls, but she calls someone and says, can I go into my house? They're like, yeah. So she goes into her house and is like freaking out. It's like, I don't know what to do. I better start like making preparations because I know that this is the end. Like the vampire hunters are going to come kill me, or I'm going to attack someone. Like this is just not a good situation. And while she's having this freak out, there's a knock on her door, and it's Scarlett. And Scarlett immediately goes, hey, can I come in? And, you know, us as the readers are like, oh, that's also a vampire. But she looks normal, so you don't know. Mm-hmm. And then, so Scarlett lets herself in. They're trying to figure things out. She's like, okay, you have to go to this vampire hunter barbecue because there's talks going around. Everyone thinks that you're a vampire, and we need to, like, go show you off and prove that you're not. And she's like, how are we going to do that? So Scarlett takes her home, back to her house, and they, like, have to go. Basically, she figures out that Scarlett's also a vampire, and that's how she knows, like, what to do. So they, like, cover her with makeup so she looks alive, file down her fangs so that they're, like, normal.
Ouch.
I know. When I heard that, I was like, this is not for me. But they go and sit at a restaurant so she can practice being around garlic.
I love it.
So they go to this barbecue, and they are just like completely shitting on the host. Like, wow, can you believe she is a horrible cook? Like, can you believe this party she's having? Look at all these people here. It's just really, really funny. I love this one. This is another one that was pretty quick to read. So 36 episodes, but they go pretty quick. They're a little bit shorter. Mm-hmm. I love it. The art style kind of reminds me a little bit of the other werewolf one, After Dark. Mm-hmm. Yes, it reminds me of that. Just like with kind of the thick, harsh lines, but more with like a comedy undertone instead of a thriller undertone.
Oh, I love that.
It's great. I highly recommend it.
I love it. I mean, you know me. I'm going to try anything that's for vampires.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm a Twilight baby at heart.
So it's been a while since we brought Twilight up.
I know. You just had to find a way to like bring it in. Okay, so in moving on, another title that I've read recently is called The Youth Pill. This one's on Manta Comics, and it's a completed series with only 26 episodes.
A quick read.
So it's actually a quick read. It actually reminds me a lot of the plot for, like, Vampire Husband in a way. Mm-hmm. So it's not the exact same. The story essentially follows Soong, and she lives in a world where they basically found the Fountain of Youth, and they've put it in, like, pill form.
Oh, my gosh.
So everyone can just take this pill, and it automatically makes you, like, significantly younger. And, like, again, all you have to do is, like, take it as prescribed, and, like, you can literally maintain the appearance and, like, the same physical state and everything that you were in when you were like 20 when you're like 121 years old.
Interesting.
So Soong is 121. She takes this medicine every single day. She is able to maintain a form as if she's 21. And you find out that she kind of does this because she had a really sad life growing up. Like, she lost her family really young, and she didn't really feel like she was able to like save up money or do anything that she wanted until she was like already about to die. Mm-hmm. And so the medicine came out. She's like, this is my chance to like live my life now that I've saved some money and like do things different. So she tries to get a job, finds out she has to go to college. Shocking. Not that anyone here in the US would be aware of that. But she decides to go to college. In her experience in going there, like, all the younger people are like talking shit about the people who take this medicine. They're like, you never know who's like an ancient old timer.
Oh my gosh.
And look at all of the hardships that they're bringing to the world because like now life expectancy is so much further along that like the population is just booming again because no one's dying. And so there's like this kind of like, she's like terrified that people will find out that she takes the medicine. Well, in the interim, the school hunk is like trying to kind of keep his distance from everybody because everyone's constantly tracking him down. And they end up bumping into her like multiple times. Mm-hmm. They run into each other. He's like, oh my gosh, she's stalking me. And she wants nothing to do with this guy because she's terrified of her secret getting out.
Aww.
And so it just becomes this like cat and mouse of like, he starts out hating her and she's like, oh, he's kind of cute, but I'll keep my distance. And then he starts pursuing her and she's like, I'm 100 years older than him. I can't possibly date him. So I think it is like the funniest story. It's so cute, interesting concept, and I loved how it went. It was like too short in my opinion because I could have seen it gone on for like way longer.
Yeah.
But for 26 episodes, it was definitely worth the read.
I mean, that sounds great. I love that concept.
It is so cute. And I love, too, like, she's sitting there, like, she knows she's 100 years older.
Yeah.
No one else does.
Yeah. I would be worried. Like, in her shoes, I would definitely be worried that people would find out.
I mean, yeah, I'd be a little concerned. But yeah, I mean, it's so funny. There are certain moments where she's just like dancing and then all of a sudden her knees give out because she needs another dose of her medicine.
Oh my gosh.
And so her body starts reverting to like her joints hurting and cracking everywhere.
Maybe I need some of that medicine.
Yeah, I know, me too. I'm like, I'm almost 30. I
am 30. I need it.
But yeah, such a good read. I loved it. Oh my gosh.
Well, that sounds great. The last one that I want to talk about today is called Cinderella Boy. So this is on Webtoon. It's 22 episodes. They are a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. It's released every Tuesday. And this one is about Chase. And he is just basically like an average kid, super obsessed with wanting to be famous, and has like his own YouTube channel, trying to be a singer, all of that stuff. But like not really into school. Mm-hmm. So he has to go to the library, and at the library he finds a book with a piece of tape over the top that says "Read me." And so he's like, okay.
It's like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, it is. And so he picks it up and he finds a key in this book. And this is where you find out that the key allows you to go into the story and like act out the story. And while you're acting out the story, you collect this like substance called serotonin. And it's basically like the happiness you feel from reading a story is bottled up into...
I know exactly what that is. I get it every time I read.
Yeah. And if you bottle up enough of it, you can make a wish.
Oh, I love that.
And you see, this is when we find, like, he wants to make a wish that his mom is sick, and he wants to help, like, wish for her to be better.
For some reason, I was like, he wants to wish that his mom is sick? That's really messed up.
No, his mom is sick, and he wants to wish that she's better.
Okay, there we go.
That's what I meant.
I was like, man, I thought it was lighthearted. That's pretty dark.
It is, like, Actually, that episode where he goes and visits his mom, and you see one that his aunt and uncle are like super shitty people, and he lives with his grandpa, and his cousin is staying with him as well, and his cousin like he kind of like hates his cousin. Like they bicker and stuff because they live together.
Yeah.
But then you also see that like his aunt and uncle are like really hard on Deacon, who's the cousin. Mm-hmm. And so you see like kind of why he is the way that he is. And Chase's mom, Myra, she lives with the aunt and uncle because they're really wealthy, and so they're paying for her treatments.
Oh.
So all of that, like, not comedy aside, that is just like background information that you get about like why he's doing this. But in the stories, the key that he has turns him into the heroine. So he's always like Cinderella or Aurora or whoever like the main character is. He's that person. There are other keys. So there's a villain, and the person who is the villain follows him into all of these stories and tries to like ruin the story for him. It's their interactions are really, really funny. And we don't know his real name. He just goes by Buddy. And then so he's the villain. And then there's Deacon, who is the cousin, and in the most recent like arc, he goes in with Chase as well, and he is the sidekick. So they have 3 keys. There are 12 keys total that they need to find because you have to have all 12 keys to be able to make the wish. Mm-hmm. But basically, like, it's just him going into these different stories and trying to act out the stories. He's like trying to find shortcuts so that he like goes in halfway through the story to see if he can do that, but then he doesn't get as much serotonin. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't like follow through with the story, like the people in the story see him as whatever character he is, not what he actually looks like. But he can see Deacon and Buddy, and so Buddy and Deacon, like, everyone who's a real person can see each other for what they really are.
I love that.
In the most recent story, I don't know what story they were in. I don't know if it's a real story or not, but it was funny. The main characters are all cats. And they have to walk around on their hands and knees because at first they're walking around like standing tall and they don't realize they're cats. And there's like 2 maids who come and say like, "Do you see what the cats are doing?" And Buddy as a cat is hysterical. He's just like, his cat name is Miss Meowsifer.
Miss Meowsifer?
Yes. And he's the villain's pet cat. And he's just lounging, like looking evil, just kind of on a Chase lounger, like looking around. It's so funny. I love this one. It's just such like, it is like a full, well-rounded story. Like you do get actual plot. There are ups and downs. Like I was really surprised with the plot with the mom. Like when that came in, I was like, this is such a lighthearted series. And that episode was really like, it tugs at your heartstrings. Yeah. But it is such a good story and it is so funny. And I love Chase. He's hilarious. I love Buddy. The villain is so funny. And him as a cat, like the whole thing was just hilarious.
I love this.
You'll have to read this one. Only 22 episodes. It's ongoing, so catch up now.
I know for a fact I can do 22 episodes in a day, so I will have to do that. So last but very much not least, the last comedy that I want to touch base about is called High Class Homos. This is a very popular one, and I actually just started it, so I'm not very far along, but it has had me laughing out loud like every single episode. Like I catch myself smiling and laughing to myself like a crazy person. So joke's on me. But essentially, this is a story on Webtoon. It's currently on hiatus, so you might have a little bit of time to catch up because there are 123 episodes so far. And there are some pretty like good-sized episodes. This is, again, like a story, like all the way through. So it kind of like follows itself, from episode to episode. But the story follows Princess Sophia of Mytilene and Prince August of Phthia. And they're basically neighboring kingdoms, and they grew up extremely close with one another. Like, everyone has talked about just like, oh my gosh, they're destined to be together. What an amazing matchup this would be. Like, for the kingdoms, for everything. Like, everyone would just flourish in this situation. And so as they've come of age, they've continued to stay really close friends. The problem being that Princess Sophia is extremely lesbian, and Prince August is very gay. So they are the best of friends, but they are not romantically interested in each other at all.
Kind of puts a damper in everyone's plans.
Yeah, just a little bit. So the story basically opens up with Princess Sophia, and she's extremely frustrated. Like, she's in this beautiful dress, and like all of her maids are like, here you go, here's your room, you know, like, here's, you can go and visit the prince. And she storms into the prince's room and she rips the dress off, and she's in pants and everything. She's like, how dare they dress me like this? How uncomfortable. And the prince is just lounging around. And so they basically have a conversation together, and she goes, I'm so sick of my parents trying to make me court all these different people. We literally just need to marry each other, and then I'll let you fuck all the nights that you want. And I can go for the maids, and we're fine. And she's like, we'll both be like solid heirs to the throne. Like, there's no downfall to this, really. And so Prince August is like, I mean, do you think we could actually keep up with this? Because that sounds, you know, kind of tricky. Like, what about when they want grandchildren? They're like, I guess we just say that we're infertile. And then they high five each other.
Oh my gosh.
So they basically go on, like, you see Princess Sophia, she's like hitting on all the maids. Like, she kind of has a little flirtationship with one of the female cooks in the kitchen who's like trying to cook her out, and she's like winking at her and doing some little nudges and like purposefully trying to get on her nerves. And then you have August, who's like trying to teach the commander of the knights how to read so that they have some one-on-one time together. It is so funny. I know that I'm going to love this series. And already I'm like maybe 10 episodes in, and I've laughed out loud every time.
Oh my gosh, that sounds great. I know that there's a book with that same concept that has been recommended to me on Instagram, but I don't know what it is.
Probably for good reason. It's a good concept.
Yeah.
I love it. And the art is so funny. It's very like bubblegum. Like, everything's very pink and blue.
I
And
love it.
it's so cute.
Definitely going to add that to my list as soon as we finish.
I know. So thank you all again so much for joining us on this little comedy highlight. We figured, in the spirit of April Fools happening recently, it would be a nice little way to talk about the things that have had us laughing. If you have a favorite comedy series and you want to reach out to us about it, feel free to reach out in the different methods within our description. But if not, looking forward to talking to you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye.